December the 4th, Indian jets attacked Dakar airport for the first time. After a night bomb raid on Dakar, the search for the bodies in the wreckage of an orphanage. Estimates of the dead vary. 200, 400 and more. Nobody will ever know for sure. Most of the dead are children. Who can have been responsible for such a cowardly act? The Indians say it wasn't them, and the East Bengalis believe them. It was the Pakistani Air Force, they claim. The Pakistanis are doing this to make us hate the Indians, I was frequently told. It wasn't until the war was over that I learned the identity of the mysterious night bomber who was responsible for this. It was an Indian pilot who gave me a lift to Calcutta. By now, the word from the battlefronts is that the Pakistani army is running critically short of ammunition, fuel and food, and it has no chance of being resupplied. As the city empties, the Red Cross seeks agreement from the war chiefs of Pakistan and India to make the Intercontinental Hotel a neutral zone. As such, it's first of all a sanctuary for hundreds of foreign nationals awaiting evacuation. Quite suddenly, the Pakistani commander, General Niazi, turns up.
Good morning, how are you? Morning, sir. Who spread the rumor that I have run away?
As usual, the general is eager to chat to reporters.
It was the Brahman Broadcasting Corporation, BBC.
We're spreading your rumors.
I can tell you one thing, man. I'm the man, I'll take the tank over my body. You will see my dead body are alive.
How close would you say they are to Dhaka now, General?
Why should I tell you?
They say they're going to be here very early next week, General.
Let them be. I am ready. Quicker the better. Why don't they come?
Well, we think they are coming, quite honestly.
Well, let them come. I say you go with them. You will take very good pictures.
You think you can take care of them?
Care of who?
The Indians.
My goodness. Anybody else also with them. Not only Indians.
You look after us, General.
Inshallah. Come to me anytime. At your service, gentlemen. Anytime.
Also, we're about to witness, as we withdraw to the center of Dhaka, the last stand by the Pakistanis in the east, we think. We expect that the real fight for Dhaka is about to unfold. The next day, Monday the 13th, and for no apparent reason, General Niazi, the Tiger, appears on a street corner. General, I'm afraid I arrived late on that.
You are always late, son. Why? You are the youngest, you should be the furthermost.
Yeah, well, I've got this belly, you see.
Not bigger than mine.
What do you see happening when the Indians do hit town, General?
Well, actually, we'll fight it out.
Is there a real possibility of street-by-street fighting?
Inshallah, we'll keep them away.
The feeling is that you don't have enough men here in the town to put up a big fight.
Makes no difference. I never show my men.
Will you make any attempt at a conditional surrender?
No, sir. The question is either we live or we die.
Well, the war is nearly over in East Pakistan now, which is about to become Bangladesh, and we think the purpose of the jets coming over now is really to say to the Pak army, you might as well surrender, those of you that haven't, because it really is just about all over. So we think the Indian pilots are beating it up really for the hell of it now. Colonel, is there any question of a surrender yet, do you know? Would you know?
No, no surrenders.
Yeah. There's no question of it. You know for sure, no question.
No question of any surrender.
That what General Niazi has been saying still stands. You fight to the last man.
He means it.
And you mean it with him, or
of course,
all of you behind
everyone.
him? Well, we think the purpose of this Indian attack now is that they've located General Niazi's new headquarters. We think General Niazi, the commander of what's left of the Pakistan army here, has shifted his headquarters. We believe the Indians know about it. And we think they're now trying to kill Niazi, to strike directly at his new headquarters.
tell you what the situation
But General
is.
Farman, if you were in control, would you not now think of surrendering? Isn't it ludicrous to go on?
No, why should we surrender?
Well, it's now 10:20 on Wednesday the 15th, and the news that has just reached me is that Yahya Khan has given the order to surrender in the east. In fact, he gave his agreement to this at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And what is about to happen now is that General Farman Ali, who was military advisor to the civilian government, is coming here to talk to the ex-members of the government about the surrender deal. He will leave here then to go and see General Niazi, and he will ask General Niazi to obey President Yahya Khan. We assume he will, but we're not quite sure about it. But that's about what's going to happen now. These latest attacks by the Indian Air Force seem to be since everybody else has agreed to surrender but General Niazi. These are just a message, in fact, to General Niazi to say, you better sign on the dotted line too. I think that's what it's about now. Well, the situation at 5 minutes to 2 on Wednesday the 15th is that we now know that General Niazi has accepted the principle of a ceasefire. But negotiations are getting pretty well bogged down at the moment. What Niazi seems to be looking for is a face-saving formula. He doesn't want the word surrender used. By mid-afternoon, the Indian jets are overdoing it, and their rockets are hitting civilian targets. If General Niazi decides after all to fight to the finish, he could force the Indians to destroy much more of the city. Well, at 4:20, the latest position is that General Niazi has accepted a conditional ceasefire. What I mean is that he has transmitted to his president, Yahya Khan, that he is prepared to accept a ceasefire, but on conditions. And those conditions are thought to imply that the soldiers in East Pakistan will keep their arms. In any event, these terms are now to be offered to the Indians, and we wait to see what happens from then on. At dawn on Thursday, the fighting is continuing. Hopes for a ceasefire dim. And then, as news of the Pakistani army's surrender spreads, the Mukti Bahini guerrillas come from their hiding places in the city. Not long before, some of them and their supporters had been guests and waiters in the hotel. Target is the radio station just down the road from the hotel. Some of them want to shoot their way in, despite the fact that there's no resistance. But for the moment, a semblance of Mukti Bahini law and order prevails. Unofficially, the birth of the new nation is proclaimed when the Bangladesh flag is raised over the radio station. Pakistani soldiers, it said, are firing into the mob. The shots, in fact, came from the guns of other Mukti guerrillas who were firing salutes into the air. In the midst of all this confusion, the Indians finally arrived. Colonel, welcome to Dhaka. Looking at the scene from this end, it has seemed like a rout of the Pakistan army. Is that a fair assessment? What's it been like?
I wouldn't say that. I think it's very heavy and hard fighting. But I think we went about as planned, I would say. Things worked out as we'd assessed it, more or less.
Were there moments where they did really put up a fight to the death?
Oh, yes. I think practically everywhere. The Pakistani soldiers fought extremely well, I must say. In fact, I would say at times it was so fanatical. Then I've sort of said, look at this man, he's just dying for something, where he has no business to be just come charging across. This is ridiculous at times. I felt very sorry, in fact.
At ceremony, I went to the Pakistani army headquarters. The new man in charge is General Jacobs, the Indian Chief of Staff for the Eastern Sector. For a victor, he is surprisingly depressed. Privately, he has always been opposed to the war. Now he tells me, I'm worried about the future. We have won the war, but I don't know if we can win the peace. Over lunch, the defeated General Niazi is equally frank. He confirms what we think we already know, that he kept fighting long after the war was lost because President Yahya tricked him into believing the Americans and the Chinese were going to join the fight to save East Pakistan from collapsing. When I suggested to General Niazi that he made a major tactical blunder in defending the prestige border towns instead of withdrawing to a defensive area around Dhaka, he says, "Yes, I know all that, and so did my commanders. We argued for a different strategy, but we had our orders, and we obeyed them because we are soldiers." Dusk Indian paratroops arrived for the formal surrender ceremony on Dhaka racetrack. By now, General Niazi cannot hide the humiliation he so deeply feels. It seems to me that he is close to tears. And suddenly, we all feel desperately sorry for the once blustering general. At this moment, I think most of us would have given almost anything to see Yahya Khan in General Niazi's place. The change of ownership of one of the most populated and poorest parts of the world is now being confirmed. For India now, the joys of victory, but the problems of bringing up a turbulent new nation are yet to come. In 1947, we, the British, carved up the subcontinent and created two separate states. Today, 24 years later, after a war that lasted only 13 days, there are now 3 states.